The other day, I put myself in the mind of a brand new home buyer, someone who's barely looking to buy a home, and I just was flabbergasted by what I'm stepping into. Sometimes I make these videos and I just assume that people that are watching have been watching for many years. They know exactly what's going on. But, people forget to mention, hey, there's this large group of people that are just getting their feet wet. They're just like this year, 2022, decided to say, you know what? I'm going to go on the market. And they were just freaking slapped in the face with this reality. And of course, let's be realistic. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of negative stuff, and they tend to get discouraged. So hi, my name is Javier. I'm your home buyer coach. And in today's video, what I want to do is I want to just give a breakdown of why houses are so expensive. It seems a lot more simple, but a lot of times these simple videos are what's needed to catch up a lot of folks. Maybe you were paying attention, but you're just not really understanding what exactly happened. So today I'm going to show you a lot of data, a lot of info that you can really use. And then of course you can apply this info to your local area to kind of figure out what these numbers are for yourself. So why are home prices so expensive? Is because of damn Joe Biden?
Joe Biden.
To go off that joke, this isn't a political video of why this is happening or, conspiracy or anything like that. It's just going to be simply talking about the data that's happened over the last 2 years, okay? So there's two main reasons why we are in the current predicament that we're in. The first thing is going to be home prices have skyrocketed over the last 3 to 4 years specifically, which I'll show you the data for. And the second reason is interest rates have shot up, which have completely even further made the bullseye farther away for people who are looking for home ownership. And this has caused a perfect storm for home buyers alike, and first generation home buyers, second generation home buyers, whatever you are. If you're a first time home buyer, you are finding yourself in this mess because of these two things happening. So let's first talk about the home prices. Why have they gone so expensive? So a lot of folks like to pull up national data, and they use sources like fred.stlouisfed.org, which has a lot of good financial data. But I also like to pull up some local data because I personally live in Phoenix, where we've suffered, we've suffered and enjoyed the largest increase of most home ownership values in the country. So I'll show you some personal data there to show you what happened here. But let's talk about the national stuff. So I got my license in 2012 or 2013, one of them. So I was around this period. And I have to tell you that these days were definitely different. I was on a larger real estate team then, and I had all these scripts, just waking up early, hustle, muscle, baby, let's go. Sorry. Just got some PTSD there. In these days, when we would get a lead, quote unquote, we'd have to convince people to buy. We were like, the home ownership was a strange idea for most people. Most people did not want to get into a home because of what just recently happened. And in these days, you could buy a house 150,000, 120,000, 200,000 plus was considered nicer in Phoenix. I don't know how you remember it in those days. Let me know down below if it was any different. But I remember there was all these down payment assistance programs. You might even hear your aunt or uncle still say, well, your cousin Timmy bought a house with the government, gave a program for $10,000. And those are these days, right? They called it the Obama program. Even when Trump was a president, the Trump program. It was really, there was a lot of money being poured into, home buyers so they can buy their home. And many times throughout these years, people were buying a house with zero down because they would get a big grant. The seller would pay for the closing cost. Earnest money would be deposited and refunded at the end of the transaction. Very nice times. But it was a good and bad thing. People who bought did gain some value. So it wasn't massive gains to be made, but there were gains. And this period between 2012 to 2018 really made a lot of people used to this idea that houses can only go up. Up. This is where we are, owning a home. The more we got into it, the more it became a no-brainer to buy a house. I believe 2018, 2019, I was making YouTube videos then, fun if you want to go look at the older videos. I believe they even stopped doing a lot of down payment assistance programs around that time. And slowly, closing costs were not being available. Sellers stopped paying them. And we were in a supreme buyer's market, and we were slowly shifting to somewhat of a light seller's market, if I were to say, in 2019. So what happened is we, here in Phoenix, I can tell you the inventory was floating about 12 to 15,000, around there on a good day. Well, as you know, pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, a lot, quarter one, quarter two of 2020, there was an immediate slowdown of everything. So everything immediately just halted. People were panicked. They didn't know what we were going to do. The interest rates hit really historic lows. Like there was 2.5, 2.2. And this created a huge demand of home buyers coming hitting the market. If you would have bought the same house a year ago, your payment would have been $400 more. But you can buy that same house now for $400 less and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars less of interest throughout 30 years if you just bought a home. So what this did is it created a huge demand of homeowner buyers, but homeowners were still, I don't know, we're going to hold on to it. A lot of people refinanced. A lot of people just decided to hold back because they didn't know what was going to happen. So we saw our inventory drop from like 10, 15,000 to 5 or 4,000. However, our solds continued to stay high. They were still 10, 11, 12, 13,000. So what happened is, we had listings. We had a good amount of sales happening. This was healthy. Listings dropped. Supply went down. But demand, if anything, went a little bit higher. So this created the perfect effect for people to it was like a combat war zone of buying a home. And we saw a historic increase of home values like we've never seen before. And if you want to see, let me zoom out now to the whole generation lifespan. We actually have never been as expensive before, ever. So like I remember the whole housing boom that happened, we exceeded that, 2015, 2016. So we have never seen houses this expensive ever. Hold on, I'm turning on the fan. I know you might hear a little noise, but it's getting me heated talking about all this. Hopefully it doesn't bother you guys. Hey man, I'm a sweaty boy. What can you do? What can you do? So during these days, a house would pop up in the market. Things were still relatively cheap, 300,000, 320,000. And then you would have 20 people looking at it. And you would have people making 10, 20, 30,000, and more. Then out of nowhere, these cash buyers started showing up. And at first, people thought they were Californians that would come in and they would go, "Yeah, we're moving from California. We just sold our house." I don't want to say they weren't. They were doing that. There were plenty of people that did do that, but they got the majority of the blame, which they shouldn't have. They were here, but they were not the majority. They would come in with a bunch of cash and offer $40,000, $50,000 above value, and now it would just outbid everybody. And now that put everybody in the mindset that if you're going to buy, you're going to have to overbid and buy a lot. And if you had an appraiser, because you're buying it with a loan, a lot of people started just waiving their appraisal because they had extra cash in the bank. Here's an example of what happened with values. Let's say we live in a neighborhood of 5 houses, okay? They all are worth $300,000, okay? House one decides to put their house on the market for $300,000. Cash buyers come in, first-time home buyers, they fight to the death. That house is not worth $350,000, okay? Well, that is not an actual value, or is it? It's an increased value on steroids. So that house sold for $350,000. It should have only sold about $300,000 to $305,000, maybe $310,000 if it was really nice. But now it's sold for $350,000. Now house two wants to actually put their house on the market. What are they going to do? Are they going to put their house on the market for $300,000 or $310,000 where it should have sold, or are they going to use the recent comp at $350,000? Well, they're going to use the recent comp at $350,000, and now they're going to put the house on the market, and it has the same effect as before. Multiple cash buyers, home buyers come and they fight to the death for it, and now let's say they offered, they went over asking price $370,000. Okay. Now, house number 3, a year later, or maybe a few months later, hey, now I want to sell my house. We have a recent comp at $350,000, a recent comp at $370,000. Let's be reasonable and do $360,000. So they put down a house on the market for $360,000, yada, yada. Next thing you know, a year later, let's say late 2021, house number 5 sells their house for $450,000, $420,000. And we saw this in different cities, saw it a little differently, but here's a nice little chart I found on CoreLogic.com. Phoenix, 29.7, Las Vegas, 27.1, San Diego, 26, LA, Houston. A lot of cities enjoyed a big benefit, and I think the average was like 21%. So, and I did this little quick spreadsheet just to kind of show you guys how this would impact things. So let's say, in the normal market, housing values go up maybe, let's see, like maybe 3%. Let's say it's a little more of a nicer market, so 5%, okay? So what's supposed to happen is if you bought a house Q1 for $350,000, if it increases 5% per year, with $350,000 house is about a $2,000 payment with a 4% interest and decent taxes and insurance. Here's the numbers that I use in case you want to replicate that. by quarter one of 2022, with only a 5% per year increase, the house should probably be worth about $405,000. So in total, let's move this down here. Okay, I just added this little equity line here. So basically, with a 5% increase per year after 4 years, this person made about $55K. Now, if they put their house in the market, after commissions, after fees, you maybe are netting about 30, 40K. So this is normal. The payment for 405 compared to 350 is about 2280. I mean, let's say 2300, because honestly, I think taxes might have gone up a little bit and stuff like that. So $2,300. So we only saw, if you think about the numbers, a change of $300 of a monthly payment in this specific house. So this is how it was normally, right? Normal 3 to 5% increase per year. The payment only increases about $300. But what happened is we got some areas that went as high, well, Phoenix went a little higher, but 20% increase. This completely changes everything. Now we're seeing quarter one to quarter 2022, a change of about $254,000, right? A huge change. So it completely changes the tax bracket of the people that are buying this home. What happened now is this $604,000 payment. I can't even do a conventional loan on this no more. It's going to be probably a jumbo at this point, but let's just make things easier. Let's just increase this to 600,000. Once again, it wouldn't be that way. You would have to have a more higher down payment, et cetera, et cetera. But we're just going to use this number. Now we're talking closer to a $3,000 payment, maybe even a little more. So we'll do $3,200. I think honestly it would be more. Once again, you would need a higher down payment, yada yada. But let's just kind of use this for example. $1,200 increase in monthly payment. And this is why right now things are so expensive. And this is why you as a home buyer right now, you're feeling that pain. Now, if you're like in areas like Phoenix, it's just not affordable anymore. But 20%. Even if you were in an area that only got 10%, we're still moving tax brackets here. Well, it's almost not quite so. I'd have to calculate the monthly payment for this, but it is what it is. So what you are seeing now is this effect of people that have just multiple bidding, just crazy, has artificially increased the prices up higher. And we are now in what I call a market shift, or once again, no one has been in this kind of market before, right? So everyone out there is just making assumptions. A lot of people have been saying the market's going to crash for a while. Some people are saying everything's fine. I think right now we're in the period of, we're solidifying. We are seeing where we land. It might land lower, it might land higher. Right now, like when you boil milk and it just goes up and crazy like that, like you turn off the heat and just going to see where it settles. We're in a settling period where we're going to figure out, hey, are these values actually going to stick, or is it all artificial? Some folks say it's going to completely crash and we're going to go even lower than before. Some folks say we're going to be higher, or things are going to stick high. Whatever it is you decide, that's fine. The second thing that's being highly affected is the interest rate. So if you bought 2-3 years ago, part of the reason why it caused so much demand, you got the benefit of buying with a 2.5% interest, which really changes the game. If you guys want to see really how much it impacts you, let me show you. So if we go here and we put, let's say, a 5% down payment, interest rate of about, actually that's what we're going to do. Let's say you got at a 2.2% interest rate. Okay, monthly payment is low, but the big thing is amortization wise, you're paying $140K of interest over a 30-year period. Let's say you and your buddy Chad bought the same exact house, same exact value, but his interest rate is 1% higher. Well, when it's time to sell 5 years later, both of you sell, you're going to make more money, because since there's less interest to pay, you're paying more towards the principal sooner, you're making more money than they are. As a matter of fact, if you wait, let's say after a 5-year period, so it's 2027, the principal that you're going to owe is remaining balance would be $327. And if he bought at a 3.5 after 5 years, it's $336. Not a lot, but that's still pretty good chunk. So a lot of people were incentivized to offer more for a property because rates were so low. It made sense. You're going to save all this money. Now, we weren't always at a 2. It was a very small period where we were. I would say most of the time we were probably at a 3. If you want to get your mortgage interest rate news, I recommend, this is not a sponsorship, Mortgage News Daily. A lot of people get their news from YouTube, and get get it from reliable sources. Check out the mortgage rates here. As you can see here in this period, we were like low threes, floating here nice around. But beforehand, we were like in the fours and whatnot. So $400,000. So let's say you were buying a house a year ago with a 3% interest rate for a $400,000 house. Your monthly payment was about $1,900. That wasn't too bad. So if you wanted a lower payment, all you had to do is find something cheaper, which in those days it was possible. So we reduce it down, and you can buy for something relatively $1,500, $1,800. Well, two things going wrong here. If we were just to keep the home price the exact same way, increase this to 6%, which is where we're about now, two things happen. First of all, let's see the amortization. You're paying $172,000 of prepaid tax. Interest rate. If we increase this to 6%, we go $1,797 to $2,389. Was that $500? On there? I don't know. I pull out my calculator. You pay $500 more pure interest, and your total interest pray. Yeah, you better start praying. Goes over the loan amount. You pay more interest over a 30-year period than you do with the loan amount for the same. But that's not what happened. What to add more freaking salt to the wound, the house prices also went up, and now we're in the perfect storm of. Now more than ever, I'm gonna stand up for this. You guys ready? Come up with me. That's right. You're getting standing, Javi. I'm a streamer boy. I think something just disconnected. Listen, now more than ever, you want to have extra money saved up to lower that interest rate, because that interest rate is abysmal. It's tough. And I know some of you are going to still have to get it. That's fine. Do what you got to do. But, instead of saving an extra 5 or 10K for a shortfall, save an extra 5 or 10K just for reducing the interest rate. Yes, I'm going to get some ASMR here. Reduce your interest rate, please. Get it down. Okay. Message delivered. Message received. So that is why house prices are so darn expensive. What do you guys think? Are we going up or are we going down? Let me know what your thoughts are. If you're looking for home buying resources, go ahead and check out my website, Vidana.com. We also have a great referral program there. Links in the description as well if you're looking for an agent. Other than that, y'all, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you, and I look forward to crying with you together.